he's the healthiest person, that I know, and just for it to take him down the way that it did, I mean, it was so new. Everything that they were learning about COVID, it seemed like Lofa was getting one after the other. Some people you hear it's only a short period of time, and he was in the hospital for 7.5 weeks. People were describing it previously as, similar to the flu and whatever. You don't really know. So, I mean,
some cases, maybe,
are you willing
not
to?
All cases.
Yes. Are you willing to gamble that? I don't know. If I was given the choice then, I wouldn't have let him go at all. So,
I'm guessing I caught it when I went to Vegas. That was back in March, and Hawaii at the time I think only had a handful of cases. After a week back is when I started feeling a little under the weather. About maybe 3 days after that, I started getting a fever. Started off at 100 and then it got up to 103. Maybe about a couple of days after that, decided to go get tested. I was notified the very next day that I was positive. From that, went in, got my chest X-ray, and then that's the same time I went and never came back. I was transferred over to Queens Medical Center. I was there for about a couple of days, and then it started turning for the worse. Wasn't able to breathe, so they decided to put me on the ventilator. Went under in the ventilator that night, and then I didn't wake up until May.
And it went from I just talked to you yesterday to he needs life support. I mean, everything was failing so quickly. As a family member, that's the hardest part. You cannot fight for them. You cannot do anything for them, and you just kind of have to suffer and just hope for the best and hope people, take care of him as best as you would or as best as you could. So.
I'm still recovering. I've been recovering for the last 3 months so far at home. It's been quite a journey. Still having issues now with breathing. More than half of my lungs are still scarred, heavy scar tissue, so need oxygen once in a while. If I would have known it would have taken me this far, and with the health issues I have now, I wouldn't have went. It's not worth it. Going from healthy person to them telling you that your heart stopped twice, your lungs collapsed, and that makes you look at life a whole nother, from a different perspective. People just gotta understand that even though they might not be affected, they could affect someone else, even if they don't have the symptoms. If you don't want to wear the mask, don't wear it. But at least when you're around in public or going around, just put it on so nobody else gets it. And if we can just stop the spread of it now and drop the cases, then we can go back to not wearing the mask and everything. If we can just get over the hump and get it over with, and then we'll be fine. I have no doubt that we're going to come back from this, better and stronger and everything like that. But it's going to take us some time. The longer and the more people that don't listen and don't follow the guidelines, it's going to be that much longer that we're going to be in this pandemic.
And you're not the only one that suffers.
Right.
I mean, it's your family as a whole and stuff. I mean, we have our own business, and Lofa, we each do our part, but Lofa hasn't been able to go back and do that. So, and not for now, and we don't know how long that's going to be. So that's still an unknown. I mean, so it affects a lot more than just, your health and stuff. It affects everything, your ability to take care of your family, what's going to happen. I mean, this man, he went from working 6 days a week, and to now he can't. It's hard to even be out in the sun, or be in, hot weather. It's hard for him to breathe. So, you okay?
Yeah. Just out of breath.
And that, with our producer on the screen, that is reason one why vaccination, taking care of yourself, is so important. Because it's not just about you. You see next to him, his loved one, are you okay? She's got to wonder all the time, is he even going to wake up? If he's going to stop breathing? Bobby Henry, our publisher at the West Side Gazette down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, He says that he just got his booster shot, and so far I have not had any problems. And if you can, he says, please get vaccinated. Let it be known. Welcome to the Friday edition of the National Newspaper Publishers Association and the Black Press of America's morning live broadcast. We start with disturbing new body cam footage from the Minneapolis Police Department. And you wonder, I tell you, there's more George Chauvins out there in that department. That this what we're about to show you pretty much confirms it, at least in our view. Let's take a look at this, and then we will talk about it.
All right, we're rolling down Lake Street. The first we see, we're just hammering them with 40s.
Yes, sir.
Is that a good copy?
This video from Sergeant Andrew Patel's body camera was obtained by attorneys for Jaleel Stallings, a man who was acquitted by a jury for shooting at police after video showed the officers fired first, hitting Stallings with a 40mm less lethal round from an unmarked van. It was after days of unrest, and video shows the officers in Unit 1281 had been taking a more aggressive approach, with protesters and other civilians violating curfew.
Let them have it, boys, let them have it.
Like here,
Get out of here!
where the unit, driving an unmarked white van, fired on civilians protecting their business. They were following these orders.
Drive down Lake Street. You see a fucking group crawling out? Okay, great. Gas them.
We can start that.
In other cases, officers can be seen and heard talking about hunting those out past curfew or appearing to lie in wait for others.
Let them come, let them come, let them come.
Ambush.
Even when the video doesn't show the people causing damage. The rounds, while deemed less lethal, can cause serious injury. This woman claims she was blinded by one. Judge William Koch wrote in a pretrial order that the context of Unit 1281's conduct is important, noting that in the days following Mr. Floyd's death, some large crowds turned violent. Still, he wrote, citizens should expect that they would show more discretion as well as follow MPD policy before firing 40mm launchers. He also referenced, quote, concerning beliefs of Lieutenant Johnny Mersil, a use of force trainer for MPD, captured in this conversation with another officer.
I'd love to scatter him, but it's time to put 100 people in jail.
Yeah.
And just prove the mayor wrong about his white supremacists from out of state.
I agree.
Although this group probably is predominantly white.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Well,
Because he's not looting and fires.
Yeah, it must be white because they're not looting and rioting. Isn't that something? And the Lieutenant Johnny Mercel, who oversees the department's use of force training, he's the leader of the pack. Imagine that. Again, it must be. It shows there's many more Derek Chauvins out there. Of course, Derek Chauvin was the officer convicted of murdering George Floyd. We'll have more on that in the days to come, and certainly you can read more about it in our member newspapers. I'm sure our Minneapolis affiliated papers also will have some more information on that as well. Also in the news this morning, according to statistics released by the FBI this month, this is breathtaking. More than 4 Black women and girls were murdered each and every day in the United States last year. Yep, during the height of COVID. Yeah, we're still in COVID, but the Uniform Crime Reporting statistics revealed that those startling numbers were a sharp increase from the year before. The FBI said it recorded at least 405 additional murders of Black women and girls, but reports have strongly suggested that that number is an undercount. Those reports don't surprise or comfort victims' families, but only serve as another reminder about the lack of value attached to the lives of Black females. Again, we will have a lot more on that story. You can read about it at blackpressusa.com and many of our outlets around the country. But more than 4 Black women and girls every day were murdered last year. Black women have the pandemic to deal with. They have so many responsibilities to deal with, but they also have to deal with death on a constant basis. People are killing them. Malcolm X said the most underappreciated, and I'm paraphrasing, obviously, the most unappreciated person in the world is a Black woman. And that shows that more than anything else, for more than 4 a day. In the news also, Pfizer and BioNTech officials have confirmed that they have approached federal regulators to authorize emergency use of their coronavirus vaccine for children's ages 5 to 11, and we applaud that big time. It's estimated that more than 28 million children will now become eligible if the request meets approval by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. It's also expected They are also expected to begin considering the application on October the 26th, and a decision is expected between then and the Thanksgiving holiday. So children might be able to be eligible for vaccination sometime in late November, no later than early December. What a big moment in this fight against the COVID-19 diagnosis. Of course, COVID-19 pandemic. Of course, the Black Press of America, the National Newspaper Publishers Association, certainly advocates if you can get vaccinated, please do so and protect yourself. The NFL Inspire Change initiative highlights the efforts of NFL players to move everyone toward a more equal and just tomorrow by reducing barriers to opportunity. Since 2017, more than $160 million in grants have been awarded to social justice organizations as part of the initiative, including over 1,500 grants awarded to current and former NFL players who are doing philanthropic work to ensure that access to opportunity is a reality for all and to create progress in police, community relations, criminal justice reform, education, and economic advancement. One of the NFL grant recipients leading by example is former NFL player Albert A.J. Johnson III, and the work he is doing with the Texas-based Hype Freedom School. And he's also doing it with co-founder of the Hype Freedom School, Miss Brandi Brown. And we welcome both of them this morning to Let It Be Known. Good morning, AJ and Brandi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. First of all, we commend the NFL for this initiative, and we certainly commend you guys, because it's one thing to have the initiative, but it's another thing to carry it out. And Brandi and AJ, you guys have been doing that. Why don't we start with you, Brandi, about Hype Freedom School? Give us an overview of what Hype Freedom School is.
Yeah, so I am so thrilled to be here, and thank you for having us to join you today. So Hype Freedom School is an organization that started off just as a response to providing out-of-school time, primarily literacy enrichment programming to K through 12th graders. And we are so excited that we have now, just by the request and the demands of our families, we have gotten a chance to expand our work, where we have become the Texas, I guess you would say, leading program and organization to provide culturally affirming literacy-based programming during out-of-school time. And so we connect with families, we connect with communities, and give our scholars an opportunity to know that we believe in them so they can believe in themselves.
Oh, that's awesome. And AJ, what about Hype Freedom School that really attracted your interest and wanted to basically jump in head first?
Well, I'm a big proponent of community engagement and supporting my friends, number one. And our friendship and relationship goes back over 20 years as we were classmates at SMU, and our family and friends are still near and dear to each other's hearts. But this started out with just us, trying to get the program going and us cooking hamburgers and things for the kids. I mean, literally in the parking lot, giving the kids some food. And I'm always one to try to just do more. Like I kept saying, Brandi, what else can we do? What else can we do? And I was involved with the NFL grants, doing my youth camps back at my high school, and trying to do low cost, affordable youth camp leagues, flag leagues for kids. And I just said, man, we got to be able to do more. And I wanted to tie literacy into that. With these kids, most of the time they get trophies and things like that when they finish camps. At my flag league, we gave them books, and that's how we sort of bridged the gap and introduced Hype to a lot of these students. And my kids went through the program, and so it's a great opportunity, like we said, in out of school time, for kids to learn the importance of reading and literacy so that they can stay on pace with their peers.
Well, I know who else is so very much interested in helping the young ones is our president and CEO, Dr. Benjamin F. Chavis Jr., who joins us now. Good morning, Dr. Chavis.
Good morning, Stacey Brown. Thanks, Sister Brown and Brother Johnson, for coming on and being with the Black Press this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, High Freedom School, we're talking High Freedom School. Brandi, so where are you guys now? Is things on course to where you had, has your expectations been met? And what can we expect more from High Freedom School?
You know, I was really excited to see the newscast about COVID and children. You know, the reality is, I think as adults, we know the trauma that this has all caused us. And also just knowing that COVID has taken us in a space that is very challenging. And so we think about our young people, we get an opportunity to serve K through 12th graders. And so we recognize that they have experienced, things that they have probably never experienced in their lifetime. And so with Hype, we have gotten an opportunity to meet the needs of our families and meet the needs of our scholars by providing them with a program where they can be empowered, where they can be engaged, and also that they're able to see the accomplishments and perspectives and really get a chance to see how Black people have overcome challenges and situations, and hopefully be able to take some of those same principles that we learned from our ancestors, principles that we learned from our elders, and be able to apply it in their lives right now. So we're excited to always have partners like Albert, that we affectionately call AJ, because he allows our scholars to see that no matter what your background is, no matter what you have going on, that there's a community of support around you where we know that you truly can accomplish anything that you put your mind to.
Yeah, and AJ, former football player, who really is an educator as well. You also understand you became a school board member.
I did, and that was out of my character. If anybody knows me, I'm not a politician by any means. But when we talk about the advancement of these kids and showing them opportunities of what you can do and getting a seat at the table, this was something to step out of my comfort zone. And I couldn't continue to encourage kids to be better and do more if I didn't do it myself. And I had the support of friends and family like Brandi and her husband. I mean, we challenge each other. We're all professionals. We encourage each other. We support each other. And I thought about it, prayed about it, and I had nothing to lose. And I have 4 kids that have gone through this, or 3 that have already gone through this district. I have a 2nd grader now. A lot of my friends' children are in this district in Alvin ISD. And so I wanted to be a part of growth and improvement in the district that we reside in, and being the first person of color to sit on this board in 95 years was a huge accomplishment. And it shows kids that step out on your fears and go after something that you want.
Yeah, and I want to go back to you, Brandi Brown, the co-founder of the Hype Freedom School. You touched on this already, but want you to dig a little further into this for us, for our viewers. You know, summer learning loss has been an issue before COVID. Then we had COVID. Tell us what the importance of summer learning for many children of color, of course, and communities in which, you know, they're already underserved, and how Freedom School is helping them to make up for that loss.
Absolutely. Yeah. So studies show that students will lose anywhere between 2 to 3 months of their reading abilities from the time that they leave the school in the spring and return to school in fall. So summer is a huge time where we could create a level playing field for all of our scholars. Studies also show that our scholars that are underserved usually start in school academically and socially and emotionally some somewhat behind than their middle to high income families with children in them. And so really the summer gives us a chance to be able to keep our scholars learning all year long. And so of course, when I was growing up, summer seemed like it was supposed to be the time to play and enjoy and really, really have a good time. But in reality, summer really is a time to be exposed to things that you would normally be exposed during the school year. And so with HYPE, we've got an opportunity to expose our scholars to STEM, or science, technology, engineering, and math. Give them an opportunity to be exposed to robotics. Give them an opportunity to be exposed to culinary skill building. And so really having the summer as an opportunity to bridge that gap from one school year to the next. And so HYPE, we're excited that we partner with an organization called Children's Defense Fund, and we utilize their curriculum and their training. And our scholars have actually, by the time they finish the 6 weeks of summer programming, we've noticed that their reading skills have improved anywhere between 8 months to a year and 2 months. And that is just by putting books in our scholars' hands and bringing those books to life where they can see themselves in the literature and the situations that they're reading about every day. And so ultimately, we get a chance to really create this love of reading and this love of learning. And so we know that if you enjoy doing something, chances are you become great at doing it. And so doing it and practicing it every single day gives our scholars an opportunity to bridge that gap and be able to reduce the barriers to opportunities that many of our scholars face.
Yeah, and Dr. Chavez, you notice she says scholars instead of students.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, part of the mindset of young people is to let them know they can be scholars, that they are scholars, you know, and what AJ and Brandi are doing is just great. You know, I come out of the civil rights movement, and the whole idea of freedom schools was part of what the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee established. And then, of course, Mary Wright Elderman, when she established the Children's Defense Fund. Incidentally, the NNPA, we just awarded the Children's Defense Fund one of our national awards to salute them for what they do, not only curriculum, but focusing on children. Can you, AJ and Brandi, just talk about the importance of the Black press, because we want to get our young people to make sure they keep reading throughout the year. Summertime, throughout the year, reading is the key to having a sound education.
Absolutely. I guess I'll start quickly. And Brandi has done a lot of the heavy lifting on this. So I want to reiterate that. I'm thankful to be able to connect the dots with the NFL, and I'm thankful that they've reached back and allowed us as former players to support programs that's near and dear to our heart. Listen, a lot of my connection to youth are from the athletic space, and I try to bridge that athletic and academic piece. And when we talk about reading and literacy, it's not just books. And these guys want to go play in the NFL and play in college. You got to be able to read a playbook too. And you also have to qualify academically to get in one of these institutions to be able to showcase your skills. And having that fundamental understanding of reading, so that as you become an entrepreneur or a scholar, you can read scholars contracts, you can negotiate your lease, you can hire and employ people and write business documents and business plans. So it's more than just reading that book, but keeping them on pace every summer with their peers allows us to stay ahead and continue to keep our kids at the front of the line.
Yeah, and Brandi, over the past decade, the changes in perception and acceptance of non-traditional school environments like HYPE Freedom School, has this new normal made it easier for you as a school administrator?
That's a good question. So let me just first pause and say that AJ said that I have done the heavy lifting, or we've done the heavy lifting on this. Let me just pause and say that I think we know that with any work that you do, funding is important. And so one of the beautiful parts that I love about AJ is he usually say, what more can we do? And there's usually a donation that comes along with that. So being able to reach through his network and know that the NFL has funding opportunities in communities like ours that we wouldn't normally get a chance to have that type of funding and resources to come in. I actually contributed that to having partnerships like we have with AJ. And so as we talk about the climate, so you know that we are in Texas. And so this whole cultural curriculum or lack of is something that people oftentimes fail to realize how important it is for our scholars to really know who they are. And how do we do that if we don't have the literature to tell the truth about our history and where we've been in order to fully know where we're going? And so with our Hype Freedom School program, we get a chance just to do that. We get a chance to talk about the civil rights leaders that have gone before us. We get a chance to talk about who we were as kings and queens before there was even slavery. And so really get an opportunity to say that Black lives matter and be in a position to say it in a way now that I think the country is aware that if you do the least of these things to those that are underserved, like you really have to understand and check yourself and your principles to know that we do not have a level playing field for everyone. And so having the Black press, for instance, to be able to pull and highlight some of these economic disadvantages for our families, but then also highlight the accomplishments and the experiences of our Black people really goes far with our young people and really gives our scholars an opportunity to know that they can be and accomplish anything. And so, of course, we always believe that starts with empowering them with their reading. As much as we're a literacy-based program, we spend a lot of time building the self-confidence of our scholars so they know that if you can read, you can do math, you could do science, and you can drive. Like you need all of that to be able to do just even those everyday skills. And so I will say that this climate has been a blessing, but also, you know, in some ways a curse, because we know that we continue to have to put in the forefront that Black lives do matter, and that we are important, and we want our scholars to know that.
Great.
Yeah. Fantastic. And I want to highlight a question from our publisher down in Fort Lauderdale again, Bobby Henry. He says, how do we, and this is for both you, AJ, and Brandi, how do we get information on Hype? And if someone wanted to model Hype, what do they have to do?
Yeah, so you can start with visiting our website. And so that is Hype, F as for the freedom and S for the school.org. So hypefs.org. You can find some information about us there. And if you wanted to be a part of the national movement, Freedom School movement, you could also visit the Children's Defense Fund, Freedom Children's Defense Fund website. And there you will learn how to become a partner with the Children's Defense Fund and implement freedom schools within your country. We're really blessed in Texas to be the leading organization of our Freedom Schools movement. And we have been the longest standing freedom school site in the Texas area. And so we're really excited about that and would love to bring along and partner with anyone that's interested in having a freedom schools in their community.
Awesome. Dr. Chavis, your closing thoughts with AJ Johnson and Brandi Brown of Hype Freedom School.
Well, again, on behalf of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, we salute AJ and Brandi and wish you well, and the great lessons from what you're doing in Texas. We wish we could have freedom schools in all of our cities throughout the United States.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Keep us informed. We certainly like to know the progress that you guys continue to make, the effect that you guys continue to have on our youth, which is so important. Don't forget, folks, check out the NNPA and the Black Press of America on TikTok at NNPA Black Press. And it's the favorite time of the week, right? The weekend is here. That means, of course, Sunday is the football Sunday. I was going to say Super Bowl. We're not there yet. It's football Sunday, right? But it's also the Sunday that you can see a new episode of the Chavis Chronicles on PBS TV and PBS World, starring, of course, our president and CEO, Dr. Benjamin F. Chavis Jr. Watch. I had the privilege of sitting in on some of the production, and I could tell you, you don't want to miss any episodes this season of the Chavis Chronicle, PBS TV and PBS World. and let it be known. Remember this, a champion is someone who gets up when he's hit. Everyone, have a safe weekend. Get vaccinated if you can, and we will see you on Monday.